This video deals with the use of symbols, especially in the area of formulating algebraic expressions to represent described situations. We're also going to look at the evaluation of algebraic expressions. Now, symbols, which most of you are familiar with, can be defined as characters which identify something, but more commonly in algebra, symbols are characters which have assigned meanings. You must have come across situations where you say let something be x. For instance, you can say let the number of dogs be x. X here is a symbol and its meaning is number of dogs. So x is being assigned the following meaning: the number of dogs. So anywhere you see x, we know we're saying the number of dogs. So if someone says x is 10, we're saying there are 10 dogs. The number of dogs is 10. That's what this means. So for instance, now if I give you a sentence, the number of dogs is 15. This sentence here can be represented as follows: x is 15. So with just 3 characters, we've represented this sentence here. So it's very convenient to use symbols to represent given situations. It saves us time. So anyway, in general, symbols are characters which identify something. You know, the plus symbol, which represents the addition operation, the minus symbol represents the subtraction operation, multiplication symbol represents multiplication operation, division symbol represents the division operation. And you also have symbols, you have letters of the alphabets like X, Y, Z, A, B, C, P, Q, M, N, and so on. These are also assigned meanings and used just like I use X here. Sometimes Greek alphabets are also used. These are more commonly used with angles like alpha, beta, theta, and so on. So now you understand how symbols are used in algebra and what I mean when I refer to symbols. But we're going to be focusing on the use of these characters like alphabet and Greek letters to represent, and we're going to be assigning them meanings and using them to formulate algebraic expressions from given situations. You'll see this shortly. Now we're going to look at the expression of given situations with algebraic expressions, as well as the evaluation of such algebraic expressions. So here's an example. Here's a sentence that says James owns 2 cars. I want to express this sentence using a symbol or symbol. So let the number of cars owned by James be x. If this is true, then this sentence can be summarized as follows: x equals 2. And this conveys the same meaning as this sentence. James owns 2 cars. If I say x is equal to 2, that means the number of cars owned by James is equal to 2, because that's what x means. X means the number of cars owned by James. So what this equation is saying is the number of cars owned by James is equal to 2. And you'll find that as we express given situations with algebraic expressions, most of them will be equations, some may be inequalities. So let's look at another example. So here's an example. Let's say James has more than 3 cats. This is a sentence and it can be represented using symbols, using an algebraic expression. If one says, well, let the number of cats owned by James be, this time I'm going to use a different variable, I'm going to use y. Let this be y. Now, if y is the number of cats owned by James. If y is the number of cats owned by James, if I say y is greater than 3, what this inequality or algebraic expression is saying is that the number of cats owned by James is greater than 3. And that conveys the same meaning as this sentence here, which says James has more than 3 cats. Y greater than 3, or y is greater than 3 means the number of cats owned by James is 3. Same meaning, but it just took us 3 characters. Here we had to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. So you can see the utility of algebraic expressions. Here's an example question. Okay, it says David's mom went grocery shopping in a supermarket where an apple costs 100 naira, where naira is the Nigerian currency, and an orange costs 200 naira. First question here says find an expression, or the first problem or first requirement of this question is as follows: find an expression for the total cost of Y apples and X oranges. So Y here has been used to represent a number of apples, but we don't know the number of apples, so just use the variable Y. X here, X oranges, so X number of oranges, we don't know what value X is, but X is just a symbol being used to represent the number of oranges. Y is a symbol here being used to represent the number of apples. So to answer the first question, I'll call this A and I'll call this B. An expression for the total cost of Y apples, okay, and X oranges. So total cost is equal to the cost of apples plus the cost of oranges. Now the cost of apples is the number of apples times the cost of one apple. So that's 100 naira. I'm just dropping the currency unit for now. The cost of oranges is the number of oranges, here X, times the cost of one orange, which is 200 naira. So this gives 100Y plus 200X as a total cost. And instead of total cost, I'm going to represent total cost with T. So I'll say let the total cost of Y apples and X oranges be capital T. So we have T is equal to 100Y plus 200X. The question says find an expression for the total cost of Y apples and X oranges in naira. So all this is in naira. Now for B, it says evaluate the expression, this expression we obtained. So this is the expression here, algebraic expression involving symbols T, X, and Y. Now it says evaluate the expression to obtain a numerical value, so one in number, for the total cost, given that David's mom bought 10 apples, so given that Y is 10, and 5 oranges, given that X is 5. Remember, X is the number of oranges, Y is the number of apples. So if Y is 10 and X is 5, what's the total cost? What is T? Well, T is 100 times Y, which is 10, plus 200 times X, which is 5, which gives 1,000 plus 200 times 5, which is 1,000. 1,000 plus 1,000 is 2,000. So the total cost is 2,000 naira. And that's all. Here's another example. John has X friends. So the number of John's friends is X. So this symbol X is being used to represent the number of John's friends, or the number of friends John has, while Matilda has Y friends. Same thing up to here, but it's Matilda's friends. Number of Matilda's friends is Y. So John has X friends on an online social network, while Matilda has Y friends on the same social network. Given that John and Matilda have no mutual friends, write an expression for the combined number of friends that John and Matilda have on the social network. So first of all, social networks are places like Facebook.com, LinkedIn, Twitter. These are social networks where people come and interact on the web. The online social networks is what I'm referring to. So we don't need to worry too much about that. And then just the last sentence, which says John and Matilda have no mutual friends, it just means none of Matilda's friends are also John's friends. So we can proceed to write an expression for the combined number of friends that John and Matilda have on the social network. So I'm going to say let the combined number of friends be, I'm going to call this big C. Now, combined number of friends is John's friends, the number of John's friends plus the number of Matilda's friends. The number of John's friends is X, the number of Matilda's friends is Y. So C, which is the combined number of friends, is X plus Y. This is an expression. Here we have an expression for the total number of friends that John and Matilda have on the social network, where C is the combined number of friends, X is the number of John's friends, and Y is the number of Matilda's friends. Now the next question, so call this B, call this A, says, given that John has 200 friends, so X is 200 because X represents the number of John's friends, and Matilda has 300 friends, Y is 300. Evaluate the expression obtained earlier. This expression can be evaluated, and when it's evaluated, a numerical value will be obtained, because we know that C is now equal to 200 instead of X plus 300 instead of Y. C is X plus Y, C is X plus Y, where X is 200 and Y is 300. So C is 500. So we have an expression for the combined number of friends. That's what this is, and we've evaluated the expression to give 500 as the combined number of friends. One thing to note is anytime you're evaluating an algebraic expression, you're trying to obtain a numerical value for some variable. In this case, the variable here is C, which is the combined number of friends.